Thank you. It's a pleasure to be before you this afternoon. I'm here to present Assembly Bill 2073, which allows specific entities within the city of Laverne to use golf cart style vehicles that may exceed the standard definition of a golf cart. This bill provides cleanup language to my bill AB 173 from last year. The city of Laverne is a small city in my district, home to the University of Laverne and the Hillcrest Retirement Community. These entities employ utility-style golf carts and shuttle-style golf carts, which are allowed by current law for maintenance and transportation purposes. These types of vehicles can have more than 2 seats and can weigh more than 1,300 pounds. AB 2073 clarifies the code to allow the utility-style golf carts and shuttle-style golf carts to drive on streets adjacent to the University of Laverne and several retirement communities, and to cross the street exclusively in the city of Laverne.
Move the bill.
Second.
Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Holden, do you have any witnesses in support of your bill?
I do. With me today is Thomas Vu, Director of Institutional Relations for the University of Laverne, and Jed Hampton, Director of Policy for Leading Age.
Please proceed.
Chair Frazier, members of the Assembly Transportation Committee, my name is Jed Hampton. I'm the Director of Policy for Health Services at Leading Age California. Leading Age California represents more than 400 not-for-profit providers of senior affordable housing, residential care facilities for the elderly, continuing care retirement communities, and skilled nursing communities throughout the state. Our members serve approximately 100,000 seniors throughout the state. As the author noted, AB 2079 is cleanup language that would allow specific entities within the city of Laverne to use golf carts that may exceed weight and passenger restrictions as a means of transportation under Laverne's current exemption from the state's general prohibition on driving golf carts on public roadways. On behalf of our member, Hillcrest Retirement Community in the city of Laverne, we strongly support this bill and believe that allowing Hillcrest Retirement Community to bring needed care and services to the front door of older adults in their community is vital, and allowing golf carts and golf cart style vehicles will accomplish just that. So again, we would strongly suggest your aye vote.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself and who you represent, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members. Thomas Vu with the Association of Independent California Colleges and Universities. In support, AICCU represents 78 WASC-accredited nonprofit colleges and universities across the state, including the University of Laverne. As Assemblymember Holden noted, the bill will give the university flexibility to continue to use these golf-style golf carts that best fits their needs within safety restrictions. So thank you.
Mr. Holden, do you have any other members of the public?
I do not.
Any members of the public that would like to speak on behalf of the author's bill? Seeing none. Any members of the public that would like to speak in opposition to the author's bill? Seeing none. Any members of the committee that would like to ask questions of the author? Seeing that, Mr. Holden, would you like to close?
I'd like to thank the committee for its consideration and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Holden, it seems like I've heard this issue every year since I've been here. I'm hoping this closes the loop.
It does.
Thank you, sir.
If it doesn't, you won't have me here to
I'm glad that we can take care of this in one fell swoop in 3 years. So I will be supporting your bill because I understand that it's important to you and your community. And so with that, Madam Speaker, will you please call the roll?
The motion is due pass. Frazier.
Madam Speaker, Madam.
Frazier, aye. Linder. Linder, aye. Baker. Baker, aye. Bloom. Bloom, aye. Brown. Brown, aye. Chu. Chu, aye. Daly. Daly, aye. Dodd. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Kim. Kim, aye. Mathis. Mathis, aye. Medina. Medina, aye. Melendez. Nazarian. O'Donnell.
So that does have 12. I do want to go on the record that we did have a motion by first by Member Brown. The second was by Mr. Medina, I think it was. So Mr. Medina, just for the record that we did. So we do have 12. It's out. We'll leave the roll open for absent members.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gatto. You'll be presenting, I believe, AB 2586. Please proceed when you're ready, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members. I want to first start by taking the amendments which would remove Section 7, which is the portion of the bill having to do with towing companies. These amendments would remove that from the bill, and I believe also remove the opposition from the towing companies.
Thank you. Duly
Thank
noted.
you. Members, one of the core functions of the state or any political entity is to exercise what's called its police power. Now, of course, police power doesn't literally mean police. It means the power of the state to protect its citizens. This is an inherent power. Police power is an inherent power of the government to exercise reasonable control, to protect its citizens and take steps for their welfare and well-being. We exercise police power all the time in the state of California by setting certain basic floors that cities must follow when it comes to their relationship with the citizens. For example, we at the state set that no matter what the local laws have to do at school districts, that local school districts have to give mandated training to their staffs about sexual abuse, how to spot sexual abuse. This is a basic floor that we at the state set. We also say that law enforcement has to treat people in certain ways. There are federally imposed mandates like reading rights, but these are basic things that we impose as part of our police power to protect citizens. Elections is one more example. We require local counties at the state level to keep their polls open until 8 p.m. These are basic floors that we set to govern the relationship between the citizens and their governments. This bill, Assembly Bill 2586, is the Parking Bill of Rights. All over the state of California, the citizens of the state, I think, are very hungry for much more fair laws in this arena. They feel that they are consumers of parking, and just like any entity that has interface with consumers, the consumers want protections. And this bill would set those basic floors that cities have to do in those consumer protections. The first one it would do, it require local governments to make on-street parking spaces available immediately after street sweeping and other maintenance activities have concluded. We hear from hundreds of residents a year in Los Angeles, in my district, that the street sweeper will pass at 9 a.m., they'll park at 4:30, and they'll get a ticket. In this era where we've got the technology available, that is a little bit ridiculous. This would extend a current law, which many of you voted for, which I authored in 2013, which prohibits cities from ticketing motorists who park at meters that the cities themselves fail to fix. That is the ultimate gotcha, folks. A city fails to repair a meter, and then they ticket people who park at it. This would also prohibit valet parking operators from taking up a whole street. It's a huge problem in lots of cities around the state, where valet operators act like they own the streets, which the citizens pay for. And also important is it would prohibit local governments from including bounty hunter provisions in contracts to enforce parking meters and parking enforcement activities. If a city wants to ticket motorists and enforce laws, they should do it. They shouldn't contract with a third party, which then interjects the profit motive into street enforcement. This is a very, very important consumer protection bill. It sets basic floors that that all cities around the state have to do. This is something that all of your constituents, I believe, want you to vote for, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Gatto, do you have any members of the public that are testifying in support?
We don't see them yet. So
okay, let's see if we can go to the members of the public that are in opposition of the bill.
Mr. Chair, members, Chris McKaylee on behalf of the official police garages of Los Angeles, and we remove our opposition due to striking Section 7 of the bill and appreciate the author for doing so.
Thank you. Is there any questions of the committee of the author?
Has there been a motion in support yet? I'll move it if
We
not.
have Mr. Daly moving, and do I have a second? Mr. Medina is the second. Opposition or?
Opposition.
Okay. Please state your name and who you represent, please, and then proceed.
Sure. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Ronnie Berdugo, and I'm here on behalf of the League of California Cities. Unfortunately, the League of California Cities must oppose AB 2586. Parking regulation and enforcement is one of the most core local functions for local governments. From what we gather, broken parking meters make up a very small fraction of all parking meters within any given jurisdiction. Yet this bill proposes to permanently eliminate a city's ability to appropriately deal with such rare instances. On their own, many cities have proactively adopted ordinances to not only to not ticket vehicles parked at broken meters, and to make it easy for tickets to be adjudicated if they happen to receive such a ticket. Many cities, even some larger ones, don't even have any parking meters at all. Therefore, we fail to understand why the amount generated from enforcement is even an issue. How much does the state generate in going after residents who fail to pay their taxes? Enforcing local laws shouldn't be a matter of debate. Receiving a parking citation, we all know, can be very frustrating, and we probably all have similar reactions when we see those little white envelopes tucked between your windshield and your wipers. I've been there. However, we usually know how and exactly why we got that ticket. Cities regulate and enforce parking regulations to promote things such as operating successful street sweeping operations, trash pickup, debris and leaf removal, and other essential services such as tree trimming. Cities also use parking regulation and enforcement to promote appropriate levels of business activity within key areas of their cities and to promote turnover, especially for improving access to government services. Therefore, it's unclear why the state would require local governments to consider one specific type of technology over another. The technology today may not be the most suitable for tomorrow. What about progressive-based pricing technology or app-based parking technology or even traditional technologies in smaller cities that only propose to regulate a couple of blocks within their jurisdiction? The provisions in this bill are an absolute intrusion into local control. Residents have every right to petition their local government if they have an issue with its parking regulation, and we are confident that those governments are receptive to that feedback and would make appropriate changes if necessary. We simply do not see this matter as an issue of statewide concern and strongly urge your no vote on this bill. We'd like to thank the author's office, the committee staff, and members of your committee for your time and consideration. And the other thing that I also wanted to point out is that, we agree wholeheartedly with the author's assertion that the state can require local governments to enforce certain laws. In fact, some of the laws, parking regulations that we have to enforce are mandated by the state. So in the committee analysis, it points out that obstructing driveways and ticketing folks for parking too close to fire hydrants are some of the things that we do. Yeah, we have to do those things because those are state laws. There has to be some kind of enforcement for those
I'm going to ask you to wrap
violations. So anyway, we just want to echo that we do share that responsibility in enforcing local laws and strongly urge your no vote. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Goddard, is your witnesses
I still
here?
don't see our witnesses here.
So, I mean, we can move
Sure, I
forward.
understand.
Any questions of the committee of the author? Ms. Melendez.
Mr. Gatto, I just have a couple of questions. One, your intent with this bill is not to circumvent local control, right?
I think that there are certain circumstances where it's appropriate for the state to step in when there's either been a problem of consumer protection or when there's been such a different patchwork of enforcement around the state. So it's kind of a mix. I mean, I do think that in certain times we do have to come in and protect the citizens if their local government is failing to do so.
Okay. I think your witness is making his way down to the table, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'll hold off on any further comment until Mr. Wolf makes his.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, might I ask a question while the witness is
Yeah, please do.
about to start, just
Absolutely.
to get it on the table? The use of demand-based pricing. Mr. Gatto, the write-up here is a little unclear. Are you encouraging demand-based pricing or discouraging it?
We're agnostic on demand-based pricing. What we're trying to do is ensure that a city does not, on the pretext of demand-based pricing, install a meter that says this is a really hot, in-demand street at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday, and then keep that rate of $10 an hour in place at Sunday at midnight. That's all we're trying to do is make sure it's not pretext.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please identify yourself and who you represent, please.
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, members, David Wolf with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. We're in support of the bill, and thank you, members, for allowing me the courtesy to come up out of order and present support for this bill. Members, there's just a number of common sense provisions here that make it easier to park a vehicle and deal with a vehicle in a crowded city. Not finding those who park at broken meters seems like just something that's absolutely appropriate. And I mean, I understand the issues because I did read the committee analysis with the on-demand parking issues, and I do hope those things can get worked out. But there's a number of provisions in here that are worthy of support, so I'd ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Ms. Melendez, would you like to follow up with your second question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would. I guess Assemblyman Daley sort of touched on it, but the demand-based parking, my only concern is that for, say, like a small city like mine, should they decide to redo Main Street or certain areas of the city that do have parking meters, they're not required to conduct these studies. Is that correct? They're to consider it.
That is correct.
Agendize it, perhaps, but not necessarily mandated to do it.
That is correct. We want to keep the absolute flexibility for cities on the issue of demand-based pricing. We don't even want to require them to implement it. But what we want them to do is if they are saying, well, we're going to put in demand-based meters that charge a citizen $20 an hour at 6 p.m., that if that's true demand-based pricing, that they also lower those prices too, that they can't just use it as an excuse to raise parking. That's all we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Any other members of the committee that would like to submit questions to the author? Seeing none. Mr. Gatto, would you like to close?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Gatto. Thank you. I get where you're coming from on this frustration with local parking issues. I don't think any of us on the committee don't. I'll be supporting your bill today and look forward to you working through the issues that have been mentioned.
Thank you very much.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
The motion is due pass as amended to the Assembly Local Government Committee. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Linder? Aye. Linder, aye. Baker? Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom? Aye. Bloom, aye. Brown? Chu? Aye. Chu, aye. Daley? Aye. Daley, aye. Dodd? Aye. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Gomez? Kim? Aye. Kim, aye. Mathis? Medina? Aye. Medina, aye. Melendez? Melendez, aye. Nazarian? O'Donnell?
That has 10. It's out. We'll leave the roll open for absent members. Congratulations and
thank you very much.
Good luck on your
Thank
bill.
you.
So we'll move forward to Mr. Chu. We are going to move on to AB 2374. Good afternoon, sir. Please present your bill when you're ready to go.
Thank you, colleagues. Mr. Chairman, appreciate your consideration of AB 2374, which would extend construction manager, general contractor, or CMGC authorization to ramps that are not on the state highway system, as well as remove a requirement that authorized projects must be included in a voter-approved expenditure plan. The purpose of this bill is to extend CMGC authorization to the San Francisco County Transportation Authority for the Yerba Buena Island Bridges Retrofit Project, a $66 million seismic safety project on a locally owned set of bridge structures that would connect Treasure Island to the San Francisco Bay Bridge. It's an extremely complicated public safety project with unique topographical, environmental, and construction issues. Colleagues, you know that CMGC authorization is not a new subject for this committee. Last year, AB 1171 by your Vice Chair, Mr. Linder, authorized certain jurisdictions to use this authorization to deliver expressways off the state highway system if they were included in a voter-approved plan. Of course, there were some projects that would benefit from this contracting method that were not included under that worthy bill, and this bill would expand this universe ever so slightly. We believe that CMGC is the most cost-effective and site-appropriate way to deliver this project, with the benefits expected to reduce construction timelines by 6 to 7 months, reduce costs by 10 to 15%, reduce project delivery risk, and increase the ability to select a general contractor with specific desired qualifications. With that, I have a couple of witnesses here and would respectfully ask for your support.
So we do have a first and a second. Would you please identify yourself and who you represent?
Chair Frazier, committee members, my name is Eric Cordoba. I'm the Deputy Director for the San Francisco County Transportation Authority. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm here in support of AB 2374. As indicated previously, it is a very complex project on Yerba Buena Island on the western edge of the island. Just to emphasize, the facility is locally owned and not part of the state highway system. A couple more details I just wanted to give. 200-foot high hillside adjacent to the bay. That's where this roadway is and these bridge structures are. Significant environmental protection challenges in terms of construction, complex bridges, retaining walls. One other thing that needs to be mentioned is that the construction must be coordinated with the concurrent Treasure Island development that's going on in the island, as well as the other work that Caltrans is completing for the San Francisco Bay Bridge. Final points I wanted to make were that we believe that there'll be some estimated cost savings, about 6 to 7 months, and and then also dollar-wise about 10 to 15%. Thank you for this opportunity.
Please identify yourself and who you represent, please.
Mitch Weiss with the California Transportation Commission. As a part of its statutory charge, the Commission advises the administration and the legislature in formulating and evaluating state policies and plans for California's transportation programs. The Commission supports AB 2374. This bill is consistent with the Commission's priority recommendations provided to the legislature in its 2015 annual report. The Commission believes that innovative procurement and delivery methods such as public-private partnerships, CMGC, and design-build should be deployed to provide a range of effective project delivery options to Caltrans and its partners. AB 2374 expands the existing CMGC authority for regional transportation agencies, which should better safeguard taxpayer dollars and ensure timely delivery of transportation projects. Therefore, the Commission is supportive of this bill.
We've got a first, second, now a third. So, any other members of the public that would like to testify on the author's bill on behalf? Please state your name and who you represent, please.
Tim Chang with the Auto Club of Southern California. We have supported other CMGC bills in the past, and we're happy to do so with this one and urge your support.
Mike Carpenter on behalf of AAA of Northern California, Nevada, and Utah, in support.
Mr. Chair, members, Dave Ackerman representing the Associated General Contractors. We supported Mr. Linder's legislation last year, and this is a mirror of that legislation. Urge your support.
Thank you.
Audrey Durfer on behalf of the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority in support.
Thank you. Mr. Dunn.
Thank you. Keith Dunn, Self-Help Counties Coalition. We supported Mr. Linder again last year. Pleased to support this bill. We think innovations like this are going to help us deliver the programs that we need. We hope to see it expanded to other opportunities, but are proud to support this one.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who would like to testify in support of the author's bill? Seeing none, any members of the public that would like to testify in opposition to the author's bill? Any member questions of the committee of the author? Mr. Chu, would you like to close?
You have a long agenda. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you for that. As you know, Mr. Chu, I'm a very big fan of CMGC. As a former general contractor, I understand the value of what this brings to the process. So I'll be supporting your bill today, and thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Linder? Aye. Linder, aye. Baker? Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom? Aye. Bloom, aye. Brown? Chu? Aye. Chu, aye. Daly? Aye. Daly, aye. Dodd? Aye. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Gomez? Kim? Kim, aye. Mathis? Medina? Aye. Medina, aye. Melendez? Melendez, aye. Nazarian? O'Donnell?
That has 10. It's out. We'll leave the roll open for absent members. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues.
Mr. Medina, AB 1780. Thank you very much, sir. Proceed when you're ready.